Veritas, Veritas. Hey, how you doing? You've got nearly 50 responses. That is impressive. Quite impressive. You should be proud of that. Gotten probably a lot of attention. Anyway, there's one question in particular that prompted me to answer. I'll do that one last. That being said, let's start at the bottom. Number 5. What is the end-all goal of atheism activism on YouTube? Atheism activism. It's like there's some giant organization or something guiding all of our behavior. There's no Catholic Church here, dictating doctrine from up above. This is a bunch of individuals, and I would think that not a lot of them actually have the same plan, the same individual goals. Mine, entertaining myself, hopefully entertaining others, and besides that, just being vocal, holding up a big sign that says, yes, I'm here, I'm right here, I am an atheist, I'm not some horned monster that wants to eat your babies, or something so asinine as that. Number 4, were you raised in a religious environment? Yes. From bris to bar mitzvah in a conservative Jewish environment. Yeah. Parents are still Jews. My brothers were all like atheist, agnostic. I think that comes from education. Yeah. Education in the natural sciences and in history. The history of the Jewish people is actually quite fascinating, but apparently not divinely inspired. Number 3, how do you reconcile your atheism with any ultimate meaning in life? Ultimate meaning in life. Well, I don't really think there is any ultimate meaning in life, unless, of course, you're talking about the propagation of our genes. And that just seems to be a driving force in a system. It doesn't seem to be meaning, even a goal. Meaning's a human term, and I don't think it applies in this instance. It's a bit egocentric, typical human behavior to think of ourselves as the center or the goal of everything. But really, life in the universe is insignificant. In fact, the fundamental forces of physics in this universe are apparently keyed to be very efficient at making black holes. And we're just a side note in all of that process. So like if you go to a fast food restaurant and you get a burger, right? It's all wrapped up in that wrapper. When you open it up, not in the burger, but like stuck to the inside of the wrapper, there's some like ketchup or mustard or maybe a little piece of lettuce. That's us. The black holes, that's the burger, that's what's in the package, and then we're the little things on the side that kind of happen because of how it's put together. So ultimate meaning in life? There is none. Number 2, what evidence, if any, do you find most persuasive regarding theism? Well, there wasn't any objective physical evidence for the veracity of any account in a religious text. Any, supernatural, anyway, miracles and stuff. So none of that is convincing because it's just blatantly wrong. But when I was going through my agnostic stage in my, late teens, early 20s, I found that the concept of the God of the Gaps appealing because I was able to reconcile my scientific knowledge of the physical universe with this concept of the Abrahamic God that I was raised with. And by relegating God to the vacancies in scientific knowledge, it was a safe place for him to hide. Until I further investigated that, I realized that historically religion covered everything, Not only like morality and stuff like that, ethics, where religion is holding right now, but everything, like why rocks roll down hills and why water is wet, and it was all religion. It was all just God's plan. And with science, religion has kind of been pushed into a corner because science explains, why water is wet, why the earth is round, stuff like that. And religion's kind of just shoved off into the corner. So as soon as we can objectively, measure and quantify everything, then where does God have to go? The God of the gaps disappears as soon as the gaps are filled. It's a very tentative position for him to sit in. Not deserving of the mighty Yahweh. So this God of the gaps was mental acrobatics that a lot of people do, including myself. I discarded the idea as being, I was emotionally tied to it. I didn't have any real reason to hold on to it besides that. And question number 1, the question that actually got me to answer your video. Why is there something rather than nothing? The idea that a God actually answers this is a bit weird. And I think that if you think that the existence of a God does answer this question, really think about where you're coming from with that. Try to be as objective as possible and try to get your emotions out of it. In fact, why is there something and not nothing? This is a question for physicists, not atheists or theologians. Well, atheists can be physicists because, it doesn't matter. This is a question specifically for physicists. Well, I've read a couple of books by physicists doing work in, like, quantum mechanics. Apparently, empty space is unstable. And quantum particles just pop in and out of existence, even in well, as close as we can get to an absolute vacuum. So there isn't actually an example of nothing. Even a vacuum, a pure vacuum, would be empty space. Even empty space is something. It's space. Nothing is not even space. It's something else. Nothing is one of those things that kind of makes sense in your head. There's no physical example of it anywhere. Nothing is probably the one thing that is guaranteed to not exist. Nothing doesn't exist. Why is there something instead of nothing? We haven't even found nothing yet. But regardless, this is a physical question, and this is to be left to physicists. It's not a theological question to ask a theologian or even a philosopher. This isn't a philosophical question. This is a physical scientific question that needs to be answered that way. And anybody else is just pulling stuff out of the air and doesn't know what they're talking about.